It has been several days. I didn't leave this on the workbench because we don't have a tremendous amount of workspace, so I just stuffed it back in the machine. It's been, I don't know, 2.5 days, and everything is dry. There are no leaks here. There are no leaks just sitting idle in the tubing. So we're going to put this back next to the machine and plug in our connectors, and we're going to run this thing vertically outside of the machine. And just to do my own due diligence here, this is a pulley, an idler pulley. It did receive some fresh lubrication in that bushing. Our tubing has been plugged into our elbows for our oil dispensing tip, and we've got our power plugs for our motor and our oil control valves plugged back in. So we've gone into main menu, more menus. We want to go into input output test, or, well, let's do that. Input output, we want to run the oil pump. Oil pump test button. Hey. There should be a way just to turn the motor on. That's it. I forgot. So instead of oil pump, we're going to go to oil valve. And then on the bottom, we can toggle the pump on and off. It'll stay on all the time. And then we're just going to watch it for leaks. Pressure's coming up. Good. Nothing obvious yet, but we just started it up. So I'm going to give this, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes of runtime, and we'll check for drips on any of our fittings. And if all that looks good, then we'll go ahead and put this back in for the final time. I did notice that our pressures are a little bit on the high side, but it's 65 degrees back here, so that's going to make the oil just a little bit thicker because of the temperature. While we're waiting here, it might be a good time to explain a little bit in depth about what's going on in here. So we have a drive motor and 2 pumps. Each pump is driven off of the same drive belt. What happens when the motor turns on, it's constantly pumping oil through the valve. So the oil's coming out of the oil pump motor through pulse suppression. There's a T-fitting here. Pressure regulator tubing into the oil control valve. Right now this oil control valve is closed. It's directing oil back into the reservoir. That's happening simultaneously on each side. When the valve actuates, then it diverts oil flow from the return into the reservoir out to the dispensing tip. We don't have the oil valve turned on. We're not looking for oil output at this point. We're just circulating oil through the tubing, through the pump, through the reservoir, and just verifying we don't have any leaks here before we move on. If we wanted to, let's say we wanted to reduce our oil pressure, maybe we're gonna run a higher viscosity lane conditioner like Terrain or something, we would cut the zip ties and take this piece of pressure regulator tubing, unloop it. What I would do I would just cut it in half the length of what comes factory. And that's going to drop your oil pressure a little bit. The other thing that you can do is install a larger diameter tubing. I guess you could consider this kind of like capillary tubing in a refrigeration system. It's there to kind of restrict the flow of the oil through the system. that restriction builds up pressure. If we make it less restrictive, we will have lower pressure. More restrictive, higher pressure. Like I said, I'm not too worried about it now. It's kind of cold in here. But if you want to take your pressure down, that's the way to do it. It's looking really good. We purged our oil line out through the dispensing tip. We ran a calibration and we came up with 20 mils on pump A and pump B. So this looks really good. I don't see any leaks. We're going to go ahead and reinstall. I think that our next logical step is going to be pulling the cleaner concentrate and water, the cleaning section down here. I want to go through the vacuum motor. We'll disassemble that. We'll replace the brushes on it. We're still waiting for some parts to come in for that and to redo our some of our damaged wiring in there. We need to, I still have not ordered a tank filter, but I need to do that. That part, the part number for the motor and oil pump cover, was not in the system at Classic Products. So they have to put it in the system and then I can order that. And then what I'll do is I'll order that. I'll order this new oil dispensing tip, tubing, and what else? That's probably about it, besides taking the side covers off and cleaning everything in there. And then we'll get it out on the lanes and we'll run it. We'll see what else it could need. Let's lift the lid up here. Oh, good magnets. Yeah, it's a little crusty in there, huh? We are going to run through this pretty quick. This got wiped down and emptied out, separated from the base plate. This still has cleaner concentrate in here. So I'm going to take some care when I'm cleaning this that I'm not spilling a bunch out all over my workbench. But I took a peek in there and I saw that filter was kind of gunked up. And I had wondered why I was still getting a good amount of water flow when I was draining it. The filter has separated from its threaded base. Oops, dropped it. Let's do the big reveal here. Let's see what we've got. Wow, she's really in there. Struggling. Yeah, it's... Hold on. Somebody has glued this in. Rotate. Holy crap. I'm gonna have to set you down. I need two hands. So she's out. But we have thread sealer in here. Crazy. We're gonna have to try and remove all of that. I had a really good idea. Since that is pipe thread and I do not have any taps that are gonna do pipe thread, we're gonna grab this little guy, if I can, and we're gonna try something. So this tool allows you to find thread pitch on bolts and such. Each one of them has a different number of threads per inch, or in this case, this is a metric flavored device, but we want to match that to that. And then we're just gonna scrape out our bung. Yes, technically that's a bung. It's a threaded insert. 1.5 is gonna be our closest match. So we're just gonna go in here and scrape all of our goop out, everything that we can get. That's looking pretty good. We got quite a bit out of there. What I'd like to do is try and chase the threads out with the old base. I'm just gonna run it in, tighten it down a little bit, and then take it out. We should have good clear threads after that. we have the parts prepped. We have, I like to do 4 or 5 wraps of Teflon tape. I don't like using any type of adhesive or thread sealant or anything that might prevent anyone from removing this in the future, like what we came across. I will need 2 hands to finagle this in, but we're just gonna start that in, and then we're gonna start this guy in, and then we're gonna tighten everything down. It's gonna look like that when you're done. Okay, next up on the list is going to be check valve. I'm going to insert this end of the tube into my mouth and try to suck air in. I've seen a couple of these that have been installed with the screen on the wrong end, and it'll put your tank into a vacuum. You'll actually suck this wall in. It'll suck in on itself. It's pretty weird. Yep, that one's good. Yeah, there we go. Looks nice. Take a look at the shiny filter in there. Can you see it? Way back in there? No, it won't focus. Well, just trust me. It's nice and shiny in there. Okay, next up on the list is going to be tackling this. We're going to scrub the ever-loving bejesus out of it and see how shiny we can get it. I'm not going to do it on camera. We don't have time to make a 3-hour video every day, but I'll bring you back when this is all cleaned up. Well, I'm thinking about it. I did a couple of videos for a 2018 Flex walker. This is a 2016 non-walking machine. It has a handle. There's really no difference in these parts between those 2 model years. This has a cleaner mixing upgrade, exactly the same as the other one does. That oil system is exactly the same between 2016 and 2018. Squeegees, buffer brush, drive belts, everything. It's a newer model year. That's the only difference between 2016 and 2018. So if you watch that video and one of you, I know who it was, I'm not going to name them, but they had asked, well, can you do, what do I do for a 2016 machine? It's the exact same thing. Exactly the same. That looks a whole lot better. I mean, sure, the aluminum is a little tarnished. Lane cleaner will tarnish and deteriorate aluminum, so it's really not a big surprise if anything leaked or spilled and sat there that it would start eating away at the aluminum. So the last thing we got here is a new check valve. Oh no, I forgot to test it. It's good. It's good. The screws for the back side of the water reservoir, the 1/4-20 Phillips head, button head Phillips screws were missing. These are not exactly the same, but they'll work. I had to scrounge them up from some other stuff, but at least they're stainless and they won't corrode with time. Unlike you and I. So we've got all our hardware on the back side installed. Water tank's back in. I need a third hand to prop this up. Hold on. That's better. Way better. Good deal. So now the last step, now that we've got a little more workbench room, is our front cover, our swinging hinged lid. This one's in good shape. Just needs a good cleaning. She's all back together, cleaned up. I mean, the paint, yeah, there's gonna be some paint stains. That's kind of normal, especially given what we started with, right? But tanks inside and out are clean. Everything here is absolutely wiped down, spotless. So now we're going to turn our attention back to the machine and the end plate of the machine that this lives on top of. Let's see if I can zoom you in there. Yep, we got some crust, we got some buildup. I don't even know if the tank lights work. Oh, hey, look, there's a missing bolt. That's one of the ones off of the back side of the water tank. Cool. Oh, hey, look, here's the other one. Cool. That took quite a while to do. She's not perfect. This is all scratches from this base plate for the cleaner section running loose and just kind of bouncing around in the machine for who knows how long. But all the crusties are out. Everything's clean. So that is going back in there. And I think that's going to be about it for today. And just like that, she's all back together. And this is going to conclude today's rehab session on this 2016 Flex Walker lane conditioning machine. It's getting busy here. I'm needed elsewhere.